You know, I've been trying to look for this yesterday before I had to go to my girlfriend's place yesterday, and it's already morning the next day, and I try to look for other channels that are showcasing this, and there's only a couple right here. But I tell you what, this woman has got balls. I mean, she handled these cops like a boss. Unfortunately, she ended up picking a charge and arrest. You know what the funny was? You know what the charge was? They charged her with resisting. That's a secondary charge. You have to have a primary charge to arrest somebody for you can stick a resisting. That's all they did. Well, I think they tried to get her for obstruction because she refused to ID. But still, I found out the charges dropped, and a Long Island audit, Sean Reyes interviewed these two, her and her boyfriend like that. And her charges did get dropped. We'll get to that later. But first, we're going to break this down. And we're going to talk about Florida law. Is Florida and state by ID. We'll break that down as well here. Check this out.
Young lady right here has more courage and integrity in her clipped pinky fingernail than all the cops you'll see in this video combined.
Hell yeah.
I see you out there.
Yeah.
I think I'm exaggerating. You just wait. This is a little story about Aiden and Giselle, two American kids.
Aiden and Giselle. And check this out. It wasn't the fact that she refused to ID herself because she was not obligated to ID herself. And the woman cop tell Aiden that he cannot record in public or record a police interaction, saying it's illegal to take pictures or record videos in public. And she was trying to say that if he was record, she would seize his phone evidence, and he couldn't because Aiden and Giselle are TikTokers. They're on social media. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah. Here, let's. I already got this lined up. So I got one. I typed in yesterday before it took off. Is Florida a stop and ID state? Yes, Florida is considered a stop and identify state, meaning that law enforcement can briefly detain someone and request identification if they have reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Here, let me put the camera up. Right there. All right. Oh, there it is, right there. If they have reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Yeah, and was Giselle committing any crime, infraction in the car? Absolutely not. Let's go.
Trying to make their way through thin blue line.
Yeah,
hell.
thin blue line.
All right, we're going to take this from the top. We're going to make some comments along the way.
I'll make a couple myself too as well.
You got to see the retaliation. You got to see the sheer stupidity of the Martin County.
Yeah, then you got to see how much these jack thug bootlicking doucheheads make up trying to make case precedent law on the fly. And when they go over there so like that, I'll break it down because I got the whole ready to go. Everything about Florida, from about right to be silent, stop and frisk, identification requirement, reason suspicion, penalties for refusal, passenger identification. Oh, that's a good one too. Like you have to show ID in Florida, traffic stop, suspicion, failed ID, passengers. You know, and we'll get even more. Oh yeah, we get it all right here, baby. We get it all.
Sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you permission to record me. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. So if you record, your phone's gonna be taken away and placed into
Listen to this.
evidence.
Purely jacked up bootleg.
Thank you. She also said not allowed to record anybody in public. So did you correct her on that? You guys are all public servants. So she said she'll take my phone if I record her. Okay. You can't do that. That's illegal, correct?
Are you studying law?
No, I just have somewhat common sense, I guess. I do social media, so I'd like to get all your guys' names and
We're
then...
not doing social media right now. This is not for entertainment.
You don't need their ID.
Let's not argue about this, all right?
There is no argument. That is the law.
You think you know the law? The driver told the passenger you want the ID. The driver thinks he knows case law and knows the law better than I do.
If you don't ID yourself, you're going to go to jail.
The state of Florida says every person in the car has to identify themselves.
My what?
Your law degree.
Law degree?
Yeah, since you know the law better than us, where did you get a law degree at?
You're going to in jail for resisting, I guess.
Hey, Deputy Thomas Martin County Sheriff's Office. The reason I stopped you, one, the window tint, two, the exhaust, and the rev from the exhaust.
Revving?
Yes.
And you'll downshifting.
Okay, alright. Well, I didn't know that until I got to the window.
Alright.
You mind rolling up the window halfway so I can touch it? Right there's fine. 3%. The legal limit in the state of Florida is 28. 15 in the back. Do you have your license, registration, and insurance on you, sir? Can you lower the window as well?
Now remember that cops can have window tint, but you can't.
Yeah.
And they're not out there busting criminals, thieves, rapists, murderers. They're out there checking the tint on your windows to protect and serve.
You know, and I mean, how many times have you ride a city bus, especially not old, newer ones nowadays? Not the older ones, but I've rolled in some newer buses like Gilligs and whatnot, and you could tell they have some tint in there. Because a lot of times you look outside and you can't see inside because they're tinted. So, I mean, you think cops gonna pull over a city bus like, oh, that tint is too dark, you gotta take the bus out of commission.
Here comes the retaliation when they refuse to give the passengers ID to the cop.
And you're going to see how much retaliation. I mean, this guy's ticket's going to be 4 times as expensive for standing up for his rights. Watch this.
Do you have your ID on you, ma'am?
Their ID?
Yes.
You don't need their ID. There you go, buddy.
Let's not argue about this, alright?
There is no argument. That is the law.
You think you know the law? Ma'am, do you have your ID? Okay, that's fine. Lower all your windows for me halfway.
Here it comes.
There's the retaliation. Oh,
Yep.
You're going to give me a hard time? Well, I'm just going to break out my window tint meter and we're going to check all your windows and give you separate tickets for each window. Pieces of crud.
Yeah, such crap. People call that. Oh, I'll say, oh, you're not going to succumb to my tyranny, my unlawful orders? Well, guess what? Say hello to a ticket for $150 to over $600. Have fun with that. Yeah, absolutely garbage.
Does he want to play the game, sir?
We want to play the games.
3%.
He was like, oh, you want to play the games? Congratulations there, dude. You just got yourself a really nice expensive ticket. I hope you have fun with that.
3%. Sir, I have a quick question. I'm looking for a case law real quick. On the passengers having to ID themselves. I know that has changed recently. The driver is not cooperative. He told his passenger not to give me ID. He doesn't need to. Time for. They're coming eventually. Tatiana's coming. I think I recognize the passenger from the jail. I just don't remember her name. All right,
What?
sir. Quick question.
Wow.
Case law for passengers refusing ID. I remember that it's recently changed, and this passenger here is refusing ID.
Let me just say this. If you were a good person, you know, we hear about all these good cops. If you were a good person, you would not be looking for a reason to get somebody. You're actually committing a crime when you're looking for a reason to get somebody. You know she hasn't committed a crime. You know you don't
They don't even have reasonable suspicion of her committing criminal activity. I mean, how many times, like, you know, cops they just love to hem up people because they stand for their rights or they don't answer questions. I mean, we all seen videos where cops talk about, oh, I'm going to catch a body. Oh, I'm about that life. Yeah. Yeah.
fact that she's committed a crime. You just want the ID because you want your word to be heeded. You want people to respect your authority. You want them to do what they're told. And they're not going to. And your feelings got hurt. And now you're scraping. Now you're looking to the bottom of the barrel. You're taking out the sofa cushions, looking for that loose change. This right here is the problem. One of the problems with American policing. When they don't get their authority respected like they think they should, then they retaliate. And then they look for other reasons to get you on something. That's not protecting and serving.
Nope.
And the driver told the passenger not to ID. Johnson versus NOCCO. Perfect. Thank you. Passengers refusing to ID themselves.
Because they don't have to.
Driver told the passenger, you don't have to ID. Driver thinks he knows case law and knows the law better than I do.
He has
do
to
you?
ID himself.
The driver
Do
did,
you?
but the
I
passenger...
doubt it.
Passenger has to.
Correct, I know. Passenger is a female, backseat passenger is a female. Driver is...
You want me to go talk to them?
See, because my next step is to ask her to get out the car, and she's probably going to refuse to get out the car and want to go that route.
Hey guys, how are you?
Oh, we're gonna go that route, are we?
Oh,
This is
yeah.
gonna go
Oh, we're
one
gonna
of
have to
two
drag
ways
you. We're
for
gonna
you.
take you to
Here's
drag
the
you out
deal.
then.
You're about to lose your rights under the color of law.
You know what? I bet this called a bank.
Yeah,
They're
like
hoping
you
that
know.
goes that route. Because it's something called the love to use physical force.
Anybody inside the vehicle has to ID themselves. When we request for your identification, you have to ID. If she refuses, it's a criminal offense. You can go to jail for that. So do you have your ID or driver's license on you? Okay, can she speak for herself? She's got a mouth, right? Huh? No, I need her driver's license or ID. Because we are requesting for your driver's license. Okay. Anybody inside the vehicle has to ID themselves.
If you have reason suspicion of a crime, they have to
Okay, listen, if you refuse to provide your ID, you're going to get detained. And 99% of the time.
Yeah, if you have reasonable suspicion of a crime, once again, let me highlight that again. Let me highlight that again. Here we go. Reasonable suspicion. On Florida law, police contemporarily detain someone if they have reasonable suspicion. Right there. That the person is involved in criminal activity, is about to commit a crime, or has committed a crime. Yeah. And they don't have any on that they don't have any on her, on Gazelle. Nothing. So they're just talking about, oh, we know law. No, they see what cops do. They'll take a law, but they'll take half truths and make up shit as half lies. That's what they do. I'm reading here nothing but the truth here on right here.
You're going to go to jail. No, I haven't done anything. Okay.
That's called threats of brutality and force. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to cuff you, I'm going to kidnap you, and I'm going to throw you in a cage. Now do what I say.
Unlock the door.
I mean, how many times do we say cops like that? Oh, sit on the ground, or stop where you're, stop walking, come over here, talk to me. That's a lawful order. No, that's not a lawful order. Telling someone to sit on the ground like a dog. Someone tell you to come like a dog. Tell you, say, hey, you need to talk to me. I'm not. You're right. I was like, what are you? What are you? Their dad? Are you their boss? No, you're just a servant in the public.
Walk back and sit on that. What's your first name? You really want to make it that difficult? You really want to take the ride?
You're making this harder than it needs to be, really.
Yeah, this is really going to suck. I just have the tickets.
Huh? I'm not writing any tickets. I'm not the initial officer. So I just came over here because she was refusing to give her ID. So I was just trying to be the peacemaker here, but she's trying to make this harder than it needs to be.
This is not a stop she wearing a seatbelt?
Once I got to the windows were tinted, so I couldn't tell if she had it on or off.
When she got off, it didn't look like she took off her seatbelt.
So using these officers' logic, they could stop anybody out on the street, or they could pull a bus over and ID anybody in there because they said so. Just show us your papers. It doesn't matter.
You know what? And Brian made a good point about, cops pulling over a bus, making people like. As a matter of fact, that happened to one of my friends last summer. She was with her and a friend, and they were on a bus about 20, maybe 22 people. They were going to Seattle. As a matter of fact, I think they were coming from Darring. Maybe it was either 132 or the H line. I'm trying to remember. And a cop pulled over the bus, giving a bus driver a hard time. Then next thing I know, a couple cops come to the bus and start demanding IDs from everybody. And her friend's like, don't you guys got better fucking shit to do than harass people on the bus? Yeah, and one of the cops got a little pissed off like that. I said, "Man, get off the bus right now. Are you gonna be arrested for interfering with an investigation?" Then yeah, that was her friend, and my friend. She opened her mouth. Well, before that, what happened was the cop was demanding ID and some passenger. And the guy said, "I don't have ID. I'm the passenger on the bus." I just say, "Sir, give me your ID. Sir, give me your ID." I say, like, for what? For what? Why do you need ID? We're reasonable, particularly suspicion of a crime. I say, "Sir, give me your ID right now. I'm gonna take you off the bus and arrest you." So like that. Then the cop, then the cop goes to my friend and asks for ID. And she's like, "For what? I'm just a passenger bus. I'm trying to get from I'm trying to get to downtown and make a connection to another bus." And the cop said, "Well, in the state of Washington, we have anybody we can make contact, we ID them. This is stop and ID." It's like, actually, you're wrong. Washington State is not a stop and ID state, and she's right about that. And the cop said, "Oh, really? You think you know the law?" And she said, "Do you?" I said, "How much of the law did you learn in the academy when you're being a police officer in 6 months of training?" "Probably not that much." And the cop just scoffed her, gave it a dirty Nardole look. And she said, "Oh, by the way," I said, "Hey, officer, let me ask you a question. Do you know what the First Amendment is? Do you know what the 5 fundamentals of the First Amendment are?" He just looked at her and said, "Do you? I'll wait." And she paused for like 5 seconds, like, "Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think so." And he kept saying, "Oh, are you done yet? Are you done, ma'am?" And she's like, "Am I done?" "Yeah, I guess I'm done for now." And she handed her ID, and she said, "Go ahead, run it. You ain't going to find nothing." I said, "You're going to find nothing." I said, "You're just a hypocrite. You're just wasting people's time and resources." He could say, "Oh, that's what you think." I said, "Yeah, you don't give a crap about people getting a destination. You don't care if people go late to work. You don't care if people get fired like that." He said, "Right now, only thing that matters to me is your investigation," like that. I was like, yeah, it's all about you. It's all about Officer State. It's all about that money, huh?" And the cop got sick and tired of it, saying, "Man, if you open your mouth up, I'm going to arrest you for obstruction." So I said, "Just shut your mouth up." I'm like, whoa, yeah.
What you think you were doing, I don't have to suspect you of a crime. I'm going to go ahead and make you insecure in your person right now. Give me your ID.
Oh, well.
11 on. Did she take off her seatbelt? Did she take off her seatbelt?
She had her seatbelt off when I approached. But like I'm saying, you're making this harder than it needs to be.
This girl right here did not have to produce her ID. She didn't do anything wrong. She's not being suspected of committing a crime. Now, there's a case called Heibel versus the 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada. It upheld that states can require someone to identify themselves if they're reasonably suspected of a crime.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't have to comply. It says in practice, many people comply to avoid conflict, but legally, if no crime or violation is suspected, a passenger isn't obligated to show ID in most, probably all, jurisdictions.
See how easy that was?
I mean, I literally do not care. I just want the ticket.
Is that your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. So you made it harder for herself.
That's her to talk about.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? She said, "Oh, did you see how easy that was?" Oh yeah, basically she just said, "Oh, do you see how easy it is to bow down to my tyranny, my power? Do you see how easy it is just to kiss the ring and lick bamboo? It's not that hard. It's not that bad. Really? Oh my goodness. We're gonna
Are you a
we're gonna come
supervisor?
about
I am
the
not,
report
no.
cops.
Can I get a supervisor?
Yeah, we'll get you a supervisor.
There we go.
A supervisor's on his way.
All right. Can I get out?
No, stay in the car. The reason why you want to get
Yeah, of course you can get out. Of course you can. It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Don't
Yeah.
ask for permission. Just get out.
out.
You haven't done anything wrong if you get out.
I do social media, so I'd like to get all your guys' names and
We're
then.
not doing social media right now. This is not for entertainment.
It is. This will give me a lot of money. They don't pay for all
Well,
the
we're
tickets.
not doing social media. Listen, I'm not giving you permission to record me. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. So if you record, your phone's going to be taken away and placed into evidence. Plain and simple.
When the supervisor gets here, I would love for you to say that back.
That's
to me.
perfectly fine. He'll say the same thing to you.
You're in public view. You know that.
I
Actually-
mean, if there was ever a tyrannical look, this is it. Don't record me. I don't give you permission. Give me your ID. No, you didn't do anything wrong, but I'm demanding your ID. And if you don't give me your ID, you're going to jail. If you record me, I'm taking your phone into evidence. I'm going to steal your property.
Yeah. Oh, I never gave you permission. You cannot record, or recording in public is illegal. You cannot record police officers on their duty. Yeah, let's break that down, okay? Because I got another one go right here, another pay. Can cops tell you to stop recording? When an officer tries to make you stop recording or taking pictures, many will argue that you are obstructing their work and that you are violating other law. But they may just be saying that to get you to stop. There it is. That's one point. You have to understand what the laws are and make sure you're out of their way. If you're standing outside. But in this case, he's in a traffic light in his car. Okay, here's another one. I'm going to get this one. 5 things to know before recording the police. Okay, here's one. Why do cops say you can't record them? Interfering with the police officer's duties. You cannot record the police if you are actually interfering with their abilities to do their job. Courts may believe that you're interfering with a police officer's duties if you speak with witness or suspect, physically restrain the officer. Let's see here. Can you record the police? Can police ask you to turn on your phone? Do you have the exit vehicle if cops tell you to? In which states? Okay. Can police ask you to turn on your phone? If the police are questioning you or they have told you that you are detained, then they can order you to get off your phone during the period that they're talking to you and sorting out whatever situation going on. Your phone, okay. Do you have the exit vehicle in which states illegal record? Can cops force you to unlock your phone? What to say when the cop asks you where you're going? Let's see. Okay. Trying to find more. Okay. Can I film? Okay. Can I film Florida? I'd like to know if you can film it if you're in a traffic stop, if they pull you over. Can I film today as well? It's not possible to be charged with recording police officers even without their consent. Oh, here it is, right here's one there. Can I film police in Florida? Well, it is not possible to be charged for recording police officers even without their consent in Florida. It is possible to be charged with obstruction of justice, wiretapping, 934.03, or disorderly conduct when recording the police. That's interesting.
That is police abuse of power.
That's tyranny right there.
Correct.
There you go. You're
But
being
I don't
recorded
give you
over there.
permission to
So
record me.
did you
Okay,
get that?
on your private phone.
Those go to a private server in Walmart.
Okay, can you get access to that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Okay, when you do that, let me know.
So if you were to pass by my house right now and my Ring camera records you, or anything else,
Are you studying law?
no, I just have somewhat common sense, I guess. What's the supervisor's name?
Are you studying law? No, it's called common sense. You guys are being just absolute evil, power
What a
abusing
joke that woman is.
psychopaths.
Joke.
Sorry?
What's the supervisor's
Sergeant
name?
Mogler.
This is for tent?
Sorry?
This is just for
I have
tent?
I have no idea what he pulled you over for.
He said I was revving, and then I said it's
here for backup. Like I said, he advised me that he asked the passenger for a driver's license. She refused. So I said, okay, let me go see if I can talk to her.
To legally have them give you your ID, you would have to either be detained or
Read
arrested.
up on that. Okay? Or ask your lawyer. Maybe your lawyer will provide you better information. But anybody inside the vehicle has to identify themselves.
How long does the supervisor take?
I have no idea where he's coming from. Are you just visiting or do you live here? You live here? So she's just visiting. Does she live here? You live in Stewart or where at?
Aiden, stop answering questions.
Shut the freak up, man. I'm talking. I thought you've been bit, bro.
I literally just wanted fries.
Here, let me show this real quick. This is a good one right here. This is about recording cops in Florida. Things to know before record the police in Florida. Palm Beach or Broward County. Okay. An age smartphone, most of them have a camera or fingertips. However, rule that term parties does not apply to an on-duty law enforcement. Okay, consent of all parties. Okay. Oh, here we go. In the age of smartphones, most of us have a camera at our fingertips at any given moment. 12 states, including Florida, require the consent of all parties before being recorded. Florida court. However, check this out. However, have ruled that the term parties does not apply to an on-duty law enforcement. So that means he could have recorded her without her consent. Yeah, he didn't need her consent. While it is not possible to be charged for recording police officers even without their consent in Florida, it is possible to be charged with obstruction of justice, wiretapping, or disorderly conduct when recording the police. If you were arrested while recording the police in Palm Beach, or okay, protect you later. Obstruction of justice while recording the police. Yes, just if you're interfering with like that, the person gets away, he will be arrested. If an officer questions what you're recording, it's best to remain calm. If you are not the person in question or being arrested, instead simply say, I am recording from a safe distance. Okay. Okay. I'm going to look up something real quick. Give me a second here, and I'll just let this roll.
I don't even really care. It doesn't matter.
I have no idea what he's going to do. Like I said, it's simple for people to just ID themselves. And then they don't want to, and they make the bigger situation than it needs to be. See what I'm saying? Okay. We're not.
All you got to do is give up your rights. When I tell you to give up your rights, you give them up. See, it's simple as that. Easy, cheesy peasy.
Okay, let's see here.
I don't know why you got to resist our tyranny like this.
I'm going to agree on this.
I don't get why I have to ID myself. I'm not the one being detained.
Oh, let me stop it. Hang on. Oh, finally got what I wanted to hear. I was just saying, is it legal? Now I just looked up. So I looked up here. So I said, is it illegal to film police in Florida while you are stopped in a traffic stop? Are you allowed to record a video police officer in Florida? Yes. Boom. SB 184 does not prevent taking video or pictures of law enforcement in the course of their duty, but it does require you, if asked, to move 25 feet away, which can make shooting images or video much more difficult. So basically, if they were to stop you, like let's say Aiden was going to record the cops, and she said, couldn't let that. She's wrong. He can record her without her consent. He's obligated. He's legal to do so, but for to say like that. So she's wrong about that.
Okay, but I haven't done anything, so I'm not being detained. The one that you're detaining is him. I'm not doing anything. Well, I've never heard of anything saying that you have to. I haven't heard anything.
Do you want the case law? That's what I'm asking. Do you want the case law for it? You're saying that you haven't heard. I'm kind of educated. Do you want the case law? Yes or no? Because I don't want to take you to jail if I don't have to take you to jail.
And if you don't ID yourself,
you're going to go to jail.
Then you get placed in his
But
gate
why
though?
do I have to ID myself?
You can exercise discretion. Let's say you ask somebody for an ID as a cop and they don't give it to you. You can choose to take them to jail or not. And you know damn well that if they don't give you your ID, their ID, they haven't committed a crime and they haven't done anything worthy of taking somebody to jail. They're not a threat to society. They're not damaging property. They're not stealing property.
Yeah, but she has committed a crime. Let's see. When you must show ID, traffic stop. If you are stopped for a traffic violation, you are required to provide your driver's license like that. Okay, that's the driver. Reasonable suspicion. If you are stopped and the officer has reasonable suspicion of a crime, you are required to provide identification, failure ID. Okay, passengers. Here we go. In Florida, passengers in a vehicle are also expected to identify themselves to law enforcement when stopped, particularly if there's a reasonable suspicion, there it is, of a crime, which there wasn't. I'm going to tell you what to do if you are stopped. Be polite and cooperative. Follow officer's instruction. Ask if you're free to leave. Invoke your right to silence. Aiden should have done that. And Gazelle's doing a good job being rumor silent exercise. Like, do not resist. And here's one that, and she never resisted at all. Do not resist. If you are arrested, do not resist. And contact attorney or something like that. And the only charge they try to give is resisting. That's a secondary charge. I'm talking about that before.
Inside of the vehicle that was stopped for a lawful reason.
Okay, well, why do I have to ID myself? I'm not doing anything. I'm just riding in a car. That does not mean that I have to ID myself just for simply riding in the car.
Where'd you get your law degree at?
What?
Where'd you get your law degree at?
My what?
Where'd you get yours, officer?
Law degree?
Yeah, since you know the law better than us, but where'd you get your law degree at? Hey, she goes, she goes. That's
I'm like, hey, douchehead. Anybody can look up the law and statistics and like that, just like I did. I mean, got 2 pages open. Look it up. Laws in Florida about when to ID and when to film them in Florida. I mean, cops are stupid. Cops had that attitude like, "Oh, I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm right, you're wrong." No, people. There are people in society that are way smarter cops. Only idiots are cops nowadays. That's why I was talking about. Yeah, I'm about higher education. That's why you can send the cop back to fucking elementary school. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Back to that.
She can take the ride. So this my passenger, she refused to ID herself. She initially wasn't giving me ID at one point in time. The guard's like, "Don't give him nothing," and she refused to give anything. Everybody else is giving me ID but her. So she feels like she doesn't have to give ID. I had to try to explain her case law. She doesn't want to hear nothing. You requested a supervisor to come here, so I'm like, okay, I'll get your supervisor to come and change it.
I'm going to say no, just look at her.
The supervisor should have said, wait a minute. She was the passenger? Did she commit a violation? Did she commit a crime? Do you suspect that she's committed a crime? No, and no.
No.
Then what the hell are we standing here doing? But because there's no good cop that's going to arrive on the scene, there's not going to be that moment of realization that, hey, we're doing...
Here's another good one I just popped up right here. Why do cops always ask for ID? Many states have a stop and identify laws. Under these laws, if a police officer reasonably suspects that someone is engaged in criminal activity, the officer can detain that person as for identification. A person refuses to provide identification commits the crime of resisting an officer's lawful order. Yeah. But the thing was, they need reasonable suspicion.
Something wrong here.
You're old enough to go to jail? Okay. Is that the game you want to play?
I don't get why I have to ID.
Because case law says that you have to. Once we stop a car...
Let's say case law did say that you had to. Then you, as a protector and servant of the community, wouldn't enforce that. But there is no case law that supports them. And if there was, then you don't do what you're told, regardless of if it's right or not. If case law said, hey, every third black man you have to throw in the back of your police car, would you actually do it because case law said it?
You know what? And there's actually some cities where cops actually target black people or minorities versus white people. I've seen some cities where not even a fourth of the population black, but the rest of their track record of the arrestees are over 75% black. So that tells you some areas cops do racially profile. And I'll give Dr. Rashad Ritchie credit on undisputable about some areas or minority of black people are just targeted. Because some areas, some police departments are so racist. It's actually true. There was one incident where the chief was a black police officer, a chief, and he got run out of town because the fellow officers were white and they didn't like him being equal, because they're all about their agenda. And that's what some cops try to do. They have the attitude, oh, all black people are criminals. No, that's not true.
These people have no ability to think. They are not critical thinkers. They are order followers. The most dangerous people on planet Earth today are people who just do what they're told, regardless of what is right.
Everybody contained within that car has to produce identification.
I didn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but the thing was passenger identification. Let me read that. And I'm going to read this. If a passenger is involved in criminal activity, or if the officer has reasonable suspicion that the passenger is involved in a crime, they may ask for ID. And was Gazelle involved in the criminal activity? Did they had any reasonable suspicion of committing a crime? No and no.
Are you part of the car?
Infraction on a freaking thing, thing. I don't have anything to do with the ticket that's on the car. I have to ID myself.
Are you in the car?
I didn't do it.
You are in the car.
I didn't do anything with that thing.
Doesn't matter.
I'm just writing.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you your options. These are your options. The state.
Yep, here comes the cops explaining. This is what the cops do. You always see them body camera pulling their hand. Oh, let me explain. Yeah. Fucking, and a lot of times when you hear like that, I'll hear, bah, 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 you know, like when you hear like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. That's what I hear when I hear police officer, and they're just fucking gesturing on and on, trying to posture. That's what they're doing. It's called cop-splaining. They're trying to explain in cop language. And a lot of people say, I don't want to hear it. Like the Myrtle Beach, the high school senior, 18 years old, she got pulled over, and they tried to do cosplay, and she's like, I don't want to hear it. Get the hell out of my way. And I'm like, good on her. Who wants to sit there and listen to a cop do cosplay, cop language? Nobody does.
Florida says every person in the car has to identify themselves.
If you have a suspected committed a crime, reasonable suspicion, these guys don't.
Your options are you can produce your ID to him or to us.
Even if 99% of the people voted for a law where, hey, anytime a cop stops you and IDs you, you got to produce ID or you go to jail. Even if 99% of the people approve that, that doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
And you as a law enforcer enforcing evil laws makes you evil. You're an evil enforcer.
Exactly.
So we know who you are, or you can go to jail. If
You don't need to know who she is.
Or you can still go to jail if you're under 18 and your parents can come pick you up after jail. Those are your two options. I don't care which one you choose. That's totally up to you. But one of those two options is at your disposal. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't make the laws. We just enforce them.
There you go.
There it is, right there. The money shot, right there. That's the same thing when a military personnel. Oh, I say, hey, I don't make the orders. I just follow the order. There it is, right there. That's the money shot. Oh, I don't make the laws. I just enforce them. Same thing with the military does. Hey, I don't make the orders. I'm not the one who wrote down. I just follow the orders. There it is, right there. Just like the military. You know, like some cops have the attitude, no quarter, like they look at like you are the enemy. Like they look at everybody as suspicion. Everyone is a suspect in their eyes.
I don't make the laws. Hey, I'm just doing my
I just
job.
follow them.
Your job
like
is
military.
evil.
I didn't make the orders. I just follow them. I just follow me orders.
With that? What kind of human being thinks that they can get away with doing evil because somebody wrote evil down on a piece of paper? Here, do this evil right here, and you do it. History is not kind to those who just follow orders.
Yeah.
That's not a person of integrity. That's a person who's a coward. That's a person who just does what he's told, and he doesn't give a damn about doing right.
No, because he's a parasite, jack thug, bootlicker. That's what he is. He don't give a, yeah, he don't care. As a matter of fact, cops, in the cop size, they're more likely would love to effect arrest because you know what? That's another one for their paycheck. That's another one on their collar. Say, hey, I effect a good arrest. Oh, I just scored a good bright and bust. Just like, you know, when it's like, bad boy, what you gonna do? And the cop said, hey, score one for the good guys. Oh, my.
Get a paycheck, he's going to do what is wrong.
Yeah, it's all about the paycheck and quota and this commission.
Do you have warrants or something that you're afraid of going to jail?
I just don't have any, like, I don't know. There is no reason for me to, like, provide my ID.
There is when you're inside a car that we stop.
If you have reasonable suspicion, but you guys don't.
If you'd like, I can explain it to them, but that really has nothing to do with them because we're dealing with you. You're welcome to read the case law at some later time so you can educate yourself on what it is.
Yeah, you know what? You can say it like you really like that. You know what? Gazelle could look at the same thing I'm looking at right now, and it'd be the same thing. And she knows she's wrong, and she knows you're wrong there, douchehead.
But this is where we're at right now. And it's a stupid problem.
She's actually the same. She's under the same rights that I'm reading right here, and she's 100% right. She's talking wrong. They're just fabricating her identification. Yeah, because she didn't commit a crime. They have no reasonable suspicion of her committing a crime while in the car or out there. Like I said, cops just come out. They'll come out. Oh, you think you know the law? Yeah, they come out with half truths and half lies, and as they make up other lies. Yeah, you look like okay, that's true, false. They lied about this and this and that. Yeah.
The big deal is American rights.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Florida is a stop and ID state, but it's not just stop and ID anybody who just walked the street or riding shotgun in a car. They need reasonable suspicion of a crime that she is committed, about to commit, or committing.
And if I give up my rights, I lose my rights. That's the big deal. And no, it's not a game, officer. And
it isn't. You're playing with people's lives. You're playing with their freedom.
All the way to the end. She is
You're playing with their dignity.
To take the ride, to stand for what is right. That's how courageous she is. That's how much integrity she has.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're choosing to go to jail over not showing your identification. And then when we get to the jail, we know who you are, and the whole thing makes no difference because we're going to know who you are from your fingerprints. So either way, we find out who you are. Why make life so difficult?
Why make life so difficult from the gang of thugs who are currently making life difficult for innocent people? This is truly infuriating.
You know, and it baffles me when cops say that. Or say, oh, why do you be so difficult? Why do you be so hard? Why? And I hear people say, what do you mean I'm being difficult? How am I being difficult? Why you say I'm making it hard when I'm just simply standing for my rights? And you know, and the thin blue line lover says, oh, when you're dealing with police officers, you have no right. That's a crock of crap. People that are standing for constitutional amendment rights are being difficult, are being hard. No. People are being woke in this day and age. People are sick and tired of being intimidated, bullied, harassed. You know, have to kiss the ring and lick their boots, you know, to succumb to their tyranny because they think they're above the law because they got a gun, a badge. They're no better than us. We pay their salaries. That's what it's all about.
Is that your boyfriend, John?
I mean, that's why people were. Like the George Floyd police accountability, like what they done to Dante Wright, Breonna Taylor, Tyree Nichols, Manny Ellis in Tacoma, Janavi Kandula. It took Kevin Davis 2 years to finally get fired for that.
Brother, family member, can they talk some sense into you so you don't end up going to jail?
Who is she to you, boss? What? Who is she to you? Girlfriend? Do you want
can get out of the car now.
Oh, yeah. Your boyfriend. Okay, here's the options. She either gives us ID or she goes to jail.
Why would you go to jail?
Because
what crime did she commit?
the state of Florida says anybody that is contained within a vehicle during a traffic stop has to report.
If you have reasonable suspicion of them committing a crime, it's not just see cops just go on assumptions and mythical. They'll just read what's convenient for them. Everybody has to ID themselves in Florida. Yeah, it is a state. It is, like I said, Florida is a stop and ID, but they need reasonable suspicion of a crime that they committed. This cause would need reasonable suspicion of a crime that Gazelle has committed, or committing in their presence.
She is contained within your vehicle during your traffic stop.
Yeah, can you show me that?
I don't have to show you that.
Guys, they are literally making crap up.
Of course they are.
To threaten and instill fear.
Yeah, they're making half-truths and they come out the rest of nothing but propaganda lies.
Moving away from their rights and giving in to tyranny.
You're welcome to research it on your own. It's Florida case law. All right, 2023. All right, just look it up.
Like I said, I have it right here. I have it right here.
Just give me your ID.
No, we're past it now.
Florida case law about stop ID.
This is literally stupid.
And then she also said not allowed to record it.
Yeah, what's really stupid is you guys trying to be jacked up. The bootlickers think you're above having all the power. And you don't like when people stand for the rights. That's really stupid.
Agree. It's literally stupid
Yeah.
and literally tyranny.
Anybody in public, so could you correct her on that? You guys are all public servants, so allowed to be recorded. Could you also correct her on that, please? We're in public as well. She said I'm not allowed to record her. She said she'll take my phone if I record her.
Okay.
You can't do that. That's illegal, correct? I have the right to record anything in public property. Do I do that? I do, right? I can record you as well, right?
I'm recording you.
No, I don't. And I can also record her, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Take her to jail for resisting, I guess. Are you done with him?
Oh no, it's six right there.
Deal with that, I guess.
My car's open. Just throw her in there. Let's get back.
Please help me understand this. All because she doesn't want to produce her identity.
For what?
She doesn't want to show identity.
Still waiting for that good cop to show up. Not one has arrived yet.
Good luck with Martin, Florida. Martin, Florida is facing over 20 lawsuits that stem for 15 years. And Long Island is going to talk about that as well in the next video as well. I want to bring this up because I got something good I want to show you. So I brought this up. I'll see if I can maybe expand a little bit here. Let's see here. No, I can't. But that's good enough. All right. Instead of your rights at... Oh, all right. I didn't mean to do that. All right. Okay. Instead of your rights as a passenger during a traffic stop. When a car gets pulled over in Florida, most people are aware that the driver must provide identification, typically in the forms of driver license. However, one question that often arises is whether passengers in the vehicle are also required to show identification when requested by law enforcement. As a criminal defense attorney, I frequently encounter questions about passengers' rights during traffic stops, and the answer isn't always clear-cut as might want to seem. The answer depends on several factors, including the circumstances of the stop and the officer's reason to ID. See, I understand the legal requirement for you can clarify that. We'll explore. Okay. When it comes to passengers in a vehicle, Florida law does not specifically require them to carry or present identification unless certain conditions apply. Generally, passengers have more protection from arbitrary identification demands compared to drivers. However, certain situations may require a passenger to provide identification based on officers, right there, let me see, officers' reasonable suspicion or probable cause. There it is. officers had Gazelle on that? No and no.
You want to see bravery?
Right
you want
there.
to see staring into the face of evil and not complying? There you go, right there.
You know, that right there, look at Gazelle's face. That there is a soldier. That is a champion right there, man. I mean, she gets my fucking full respect, man. That there is a boss. She handles cops like a... Yeah, she's taking a ride. Yes, she got charged. But she handled them with hardly saying a word. She exercised Fifth Amendment right from remain silent. And she handled them like a boss. She's not breaking down like, oh my God, it's over, I'm going to jail. And then she's like, okay, I'll go in, be in there for a couple hours, I'll get out. Try to be dismissed because I know that they're wrong. Mm-hmm.
Like I said at the beginning of this, she has more courage and integrity in her clipped pinky nail
Hell yeah.
than all of these cops who arrived on this scene combined.
Is there anything inside your car that you need?
She got more taking her eyebrow.
She's going to jail. No, that's fine. Anything, like with me.
I don't know. I'm not the one that pulled you over. I don't know if there's citations. I don't know if there's anything else that's coming.
It was for 10. I don't understand how she's getting arrested for 10.
Okay, so to explain it, all right? Yeah. So you got stopped. She's in citation.
Yeah, but here comes the punch up. Here comes the kicker. You ready for this? I got some more. Oh, baby, there's always more. When must a passenger present identification? 1, if the passenger is involved in criminal activity. 2, if the passenger is being arrested or detained. 3, if the passenger interferes with the traffic stop. 4, when the passenger is on probation or parole. And was she doing all that? No, 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 and no.
Your vehicle, right? Okay. So, Florida states that anyone contained inside of a vehicle that is detained for a lawful purpose of a traffic stop has to identify themselves. Okay.
Do you know what like statute that is? Like specifically?
It's called.
There's literally no law in the state of Florida that states that. No law.
No law. I said, okay, 1, there's, okay, let me see here. 2, I said, if the passenger is being arrested or detained. Statute. Let's see, 901.151. Remember, I read the third part. For the statute, 84302. Let's see here. Okay, let me go up some more. Here's some more flyer statutes right there. Florida Stop and Frisk Law for the statute 901.151. Here's another one. Florida Statute 322.15. Perhaps to carrying or consider a driver license up on demand for an eventual operating motor vehicle. However, this law will apply to the drivers. Passengers are not required to carry identification unless they are involved in a criminal investigation or they are being unlawfully detained.
And there are Supreme Court cases like Heibel versus 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada that actually say the opposite.
It's called case law.
Yeah, everything I'm seeing.
Plus,
they have reasonable suspicions.
Here's your license.
Perfect.
Here's her license.
Perfect.
Registration. You gave me 2 registrations.
Oh yeah, one's probably for my new place.
Okay.
Probably for the
So I have one more piece of paper to give you, alright? Just wouldn't print out this one. You're getting the window tint ticket for this window. You're getting the window tint ticket for that window. You're getting the window tint ticket for the back window. You're getting the window tint ticket for that window over there. You're getting the window tint ticket for that window over there. You're getting a ticket for altered exhaust, modified exhaust. Give me 1 second.
That is absolute ridiculous roadside piracy retaliation right there. He's getting
basically, okay, that's ridiculous. That is hypocrisy ridiculous. Just because these people stand for their rights and his girlfriend stand up for her rights, the cops decided to retaliate by jacking up the fines to 5 times what it should have been. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, and it's like right to remain silent. Passengers have the right to remain silent during a traffic stop. You are not required to answer a question beyond the providing your name if asked. If you choose to exercise this right, you should communicate your intent respectfully by saying you are exercising your right to remain silent. Fifth Amendment. Gazelle did a good job. Aiden, not so much. Refused to provide ID in non-criminal situation. If a passenger is not involved in any criminal activity and is not being detained, they can refuse to provide identification. However, refusal in such circumstances should be done calmly and respectfully to avoid escalating the situation. Unlawful detainment of passengers. Law enforcement cannot detain or question passengers without a valid reason. Passengers who are unlawfully detained have the right to file a complaint or even pursue legal action. And guess what they did? They would do that. They did. We'll get to that in a little bit. For violation of their rights under Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Ticket for each one of his windows?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? Usually you just get a window tint ticket, not a window tint ticket for each and every one of the windows. And the only reason he did that is because they refused to comply with his authority.
50 state legal car.
Yeah, because he retaliated by saying, like I've heard of some situations where cops will tell you, like, if you retaliate, if you stand for your rights, or you file a complaint, or you try to file a lawsuit, we're going to tack on these charges like that. They'll say, hey, I'm willing to work with you. I'm willing to work with you. I'll tell you what, I'll drop it down to this charge. If you just plead it out, go to court, take it like a man. But if you fight the charges or you try to file a claim, we're going to tack on these charges. That's crazy. Yeah, let's see. If the officer has a reasonable suspicion, Florida Statute 84302, potential charges, obstruction, failure to provide ID when legally required can result in charge of resisting or obstruction under Florida Statute 84302.
So, there is no statute. It's called case law. It's when stuff goes before the Supreme Court and case law is set. It's precedent. It's precedent. Okay? So, there's nothing that you're going to read that says that.
Like I said, even if that were the case, that the Supreme Court said you could do this, it's up to the law enforcer whether he's going to do it or not. See, it doesn't even enter as evil into the world unless a law enforcer sees the words on the page and goes, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and commit that evil in the world. These laws and these case laws would have no teeth if the fangs weren't placed on the tiger by the law.
All right, let me start that for one more time, and then we'll just roll get out on here with this. One more time. Do passengers have to show ID in Florida during traffic stop? In most cases, passengers are not required to provide identification during a routine traffic stop unless the officer has reasonable suspicion of probable cause to believe the passenger is involved in criminal activity. However, if the passenger is being detained or arrested, they must provide ID. What happens if the passenger refuses to show ID to police in Florida? If a passenger refuses to provide identification when lawfully detained, or if the officer has reasonable suspicion that the passenger is involved in a crime, the refusal can result in arrest for obstruction of justice if the refusal occurs without a lawful reason for the request. If the passenger may not face legal consequences, but this situation can still escalate. Yeah, like I said, if the refusal occurs without a lawful reason, and there was no lawful reason.
Enforcement officials.
She's going to jail for is resisting without violence because she failed.
Oh, let me get to that. Can a passenger be arrested for not providing ID in Florida? Yes, a passenger can be arrested for refusing to provide ID if they are lawfully detained or involved in criminal investigation. Refuse to cooperate in such cases can lead to charge for resisting or obstruction an officer. But was that the case in there for Gazelle? No.
Use a driver's license or identification or obstruction. I'm not too. They fall underneath the same statute or in the same category. What she's being charged with is that. What case law means is the interpretation of what they're supposed to.
Let me read this too. This is good stuff. Oh my goodness. Just gets better. Is it legal for police to ask passenger for ID in Florida? Police may ask passenger for ID if they have reasonable suspicion that the passenger is involved in a crime or if the passenger is being detained. However, without such justification, passengers generally have the right to refuse. What should I do if the police officer asks me for ID as a passenger in Florida? If You're asked to ID as a passenger. Remain calm and respectful. If you are not involved in the criminal investigation, you may politely decline. However, if the officer has reasonable suspicion or is detaining you, it's best to comply and provide identification to avoid potential legal consequences.
Got arrested because she was sitting passenger seat and she didn't give them her ID, so they just arrested her. For not giving them her ID as she didn't commit a crime and was just sitting passenger. So, fucking Martin County.
And you did last citation for not showing me proof of insurance. Any questions for me?
I have proof of insurance.
All right, you didn't show it to me. I asked you for your license, registration,
I handed it to you and you walked
handed me
away.
2 registrations and a license. You didn't.
This is criminal behavior, and I know we know that they all commit these crimes, but these are overt crimes being committed against these kids who have done nothing wrong. This is criminal activity, active police criminal activity.
Hand me your insurance.
Yeah, I mean, it's far-fetched. It just amazes me that these jacked up bootlicking cops, I mean, they're just fishing for things to hem them up with and charge them with, all because they were exercising their rights and they know they were 100% right. And these cops were going at tidbits of truth and a bull crap of lies.
Well, it's on my phone.
All right, great. Show it to the courthouse. All right, you have 30 days to take care of the tickets. You need me to explain to you how to take care of the tickets?
No, I'm good.
Nope, don't open the door on me. Thank you. Do you need me to explain to you how to take care of your tickets?
No.
All right, have a great night. I don't care how you feel about me. Once you go inside of here, we're two separate entities. You treat them with respect, you do whatever they tell you to do, your process goes a lot smoother in here. All right? You're going to have to ID yourself, or they're not going to process you. You'll be sitting in here till you give the name. Do you understand that? Do you have any questions on that? Are you going to tell me who you are now? Or
I'll tell them.
okay, that's perfectly fine.
This is courage. This is integrity. I'll try to reach out to Long Island Audit and see if you got a follow-up and an update on this. They should drop all the charges, and there should be a 42-1983 filed against every single one of these deputies from the Martin County, Florida Sheriff's Office. Leave your thoughts about this. This is
Absolutely crazy, yeah. Give me a second, I'm going to get the Long Island update. All right, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. The
to see the
update.
faces on the officers when they learned that the criminal charges against this woman were dismissed and they're about to deal with a federal lawsuit. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Thank you all for joining me for this live stream. Please hit the like button and share this video so it can be seen by as many people as possible. So we have a massive update for you. I'm bringing in shortly Giselle and Aiden, the people who were victimized by the Martin County law enforcement officers there in Florida. But let's take a look back at the video. I will leave a link in the description for the full video if you want to watch it. But let's take a look back at some of the clips.
Giving you permission to record me. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. So if you record, your phone's going to be taken away and placed into evidence.
No, I'm good.
Don't open the door on me. Thank you.
She also said
Legal search
not
and
allowed to
seizure,
record
right
anybody
there.
in public.
She's taking phone away, it's
Correct her on that.
illegal.
You guys are all public servants, so she said she'll take my phone if I record her. Okay. You can't do that's illegal, correct?
Are you studying law?
No, I just have someone common sense, I guess. I do social media, so I'd like to get all your guys' names and
We're
then.
not doing social media right now. This is not for entertainment.
You don't need their ID.
Let's not argue about this, all right?
Well, that's one thing I forgot to cover on the last video too, about do cops have, like, if you request their name and badge? It says generally in Florida they don't have to, but there are some counties where they do have to provide name and badge number when requested.
There is no argument. That is the law.
You think you know the law? The driver told the passenger you don't have to ID. Driver thinks he knows case law and knows the law better than I do.
If you don't ID yourself,
You're going to go to jail.
The state of Florida says every person in the car has to identify themselves.
My what?
your law degree.
Law degree?
Yeah, since you know the law better than us, where'd you get your law degree at?
Take her to jail for resisting, I guess.
Yeah, secondary charge.
Take her to jail for resisting, I guess. So let's meet the girl, the woman that was arrested, and her boyfriend, Aiden. Giselle.
Aiden's left, Giselle's
thanks
on the
for
right.
joining me. I appreciate it.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Of course.
So just really quickly, Giselle and Aiden aren't any stranger to social media. Aiden has a massive TikTok following on TikTok. He's a car page, right?
I am.
Car fanatic.
Very
cool.
cool, man. And Giselle does some stuff over on TikTok too. I've seen a couple of her videos.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
so I just wanted to talk to you guys and bring you guys on because you guys had let me know. When I saw this on TikTok, I wanted to cover this story so badly because the amount of ignorance in these officers was truly outstanding. So you get pulled over, Aiden, for your tinted ticket, your tinted windows, and as revving your engine.
Yeah, he said I was revving. So I was pulling into the gas station. The car is manual. So getting up the gas station, if you see in the body cam footage, if you watch it all the way through, you can see me kind of drive up in it a little bit. And it's a little bit of a hill. So I went from second gear to third gear. Car isn't too quiet. I mean, it's a Blackwing. So I pulled up. We're going in to get gas because it's 2 a.m. And he pulls us over. His first thing he said was I was revving. I was like, it's manual. I wasn't revving. And then it turned into well, your tint's too dark.
Right. And then he said, how am I supposed to know that? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I've watched his body camera footage so many times because it truly, it blows my mind, because then it automatically went from simple window tint ticket. It is what it is. I've gotten window tint tickets before in retaliation for exercising my rights. So I feel your pain on the window tint ticket. But, it is what it is. But when they started, trying to get ID from everybody in the car, Giselle, when they asked you for your ID, what made you just say, I'm not going to give you my ID?
Well, I mean, I've been pulled over. I've had friends who've been pulled over, and I've been in the car. Cops have never bothered me. From what I know, they need reasonable suspicion to even ask for an ID, and I know I hadn't done anything wrong. I was just, crossed-armed, looking straight ahead, not doing anything. I hadn't even said a word to the guy, and he decides that he needs my ID, and I'm like, there's no reason, so why give it to you,
Yeah, it's also kind of one of those respect things, immediately he came at me with the disrespect, and it was I want her ID, and I already knew that he couldn't get her ID, so I was like, you don't have to give him your ID, and that's kind of how everything went from there. He wanted to be disrespectful, and then after that, obviously, it was just a power trip.
Yeah, I mean, right from the very beginning, you're right. Right from the very beginning of the interaction, he wanted to escalate the situation, the way he was speaking to you guys, and then now
a lot of times cops love to
get
escalate
everybody's
the situation.
ID in the car. And I just thought it was such a bad look. I was so happy to cover it. It was such a bad look for this department, how they're so ignorant. He thinks he knows the law. I love that we get the body camera footage and we can see what they're saying behind the scenes because he's so confident. The new case law he's talking about, which makes no sense, and he thinks belittling you. Where'd you get your law degree? Everybody in the comment section was saying you should have said the same place you got yours because law enforcement officers don't.
Where'd you get yours at, officer?
Law degrees. Yet they think they're so intelligent. They step out of the car.
It just takes me back like I was surveyed by my friend, her friend, on the bus, and the cops was demanding ID from everybody on a public transportation bus. And they're not obligated. And you try to say that Washington State is a stopping ID that anybody they come in contact with they ask for ID, which is a crock of crap. And she said, no, Washington State is not a stopping ID. She's like, you think you know the law more than I do? And she said, well, do you? I said, how much of the law did you learn when you get 6 months of training? Probably not that much.
They ask you to step out of the car.
Then she asked us, hey, let me ask you a question.
Smart move.
Do you know what the First Amendment is?
One thing I will say, and again, watch the video. I'll leave a link in the description for everybody watching. I will say, you handled yourself really well. You didn't take any of the bait that they were trying to, insult you. You were, you barely spoke. You were just why do I have to give my identification?
Well, she handled herself like a boss. She did a good job exercising Fifth Amendment
you pulled
right to remain
over
silent.
My boyfriend. You didn't pull me over, and when they asked you to get out of the car, you stepped out of the car with no problem, and that's a really good thing, and that's something that I like to tell people because there is case law, Pennsylvania v. Mims, where it says for officer safety, apparently you have to he can control you in the way of making you step out of the vehicle. So if you didn't step out of the vehicle, that would have been an issue, or he could charge you with obstructing or resisting without violence, as you were ultimately charged with. Either way, you stepped out of the vehicle. You didn't want to give over your ID. So many people would have just given their ID in that moment, right? Let's be real. So many people would just be like, what's the big deal? I don't have any warrants. There's nothing wrong with me. And he even mentioned, do you have warrants? Why aren't you giving me your ID? And you just stood fast and stood quiet and didn't give over your ID. Why did you take such a strong stance? Did you think that they were actually going to arrest you, or did you think that they were going to somehow figure out that they weren't going to take your ID?
I was hoping when the supervisor got them that he would inform them and say, hey, like, this is wrong. I've seen videos and it's like, yeah, like, once a supervisor gets there, like, I guess they know a little bit more and they tell them, like, okay, you can't do this. But no, they all stood their ground. And my thing is I'm not going to give ID because the same thing can be said to them. Like, why is it so hard for you to just follow the Constitution and not demand ID? You know, it's not me who's resisting. It's you who's making it harder.
Yeah, they were the ones in the wrong. I think that's what most people like misinterpret this as. They're like, well, you could have just gave the ID. It's like the easiest thing for everybody to do to even start this off is for the officers to just follow the law. As soon as she said no and he doesn't have probable cause, there would be no video. There would be no lawsuit. There would be nothing. Like, all he had to do was just not have his ego get hurt when he heard no. He just wanted to do something so bad. And even if you watch the body cam footage, in the body cam footage, he says, like, to the officer that arrives later, he says, we're going to go down the path of, like, dragging her out of the car. She's not going to want to get out of the car. We're going to take her to jail. Like, he was saying all of this well before it ever happened. And it still didn't even go like that. He never had to drag her out of the car. Like you said, she got out willingly, and they still took her to jail, even when he was looking for a reason to take her to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough of these incidents where, you know, as soon as I watched it, I knew, oh, this guy's going to take her to jail, only because you messed with his ego. And that's the main problem I always say is in law enforcement, is lack of accountability. Meaning that they just did this to you, Giselle, right?
Yeah,
they
you mess with their fragile ego.
For the first time in your life, you've been arrested.
If you don't kiss the ring, they're going to hem you up.
Taken to, you know, a jail cell for however many hours, however long it was. Either way, you lost your freedom. And that individual and all the individuals, law enforcement officers, swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. All of them will continue to have their jobs after this. None of them will get in trouble after this. And so what does that say for everybody else when they see that? Oh, we can do whatever we want. We're not going to get in trouble. We're not going to get, you know,
I'll get paid vacation. I got to go off on immunity.
On filing a federal lawsuit, right?
Yeah, we are. We're in talks with our lawyers still, just trying to get everything handled, put together. The charges just got dropped.
Right.
Now we just got back from London. We were gone for a week. We've got other stuff. We're busy people. So we are trying to get into it. But it's just.
Oh, you have plenty of time. I believe the stat. Don't quote me. Not a lawyer, but I believe it's around three years.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time. No rush. You know, it's definitely good because a lot of people don't even take you to that level to hold them accountable in that way, and it's important. And even the case law that he cited in the video, you know, it specifically stated that they don't have any sort of right to just get your ID. I don't know if his reading comprehension skills are off or something. I don't know what happened.
That was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Him read a case law against everything he is saying. It is the direct opposite of what he is saying. And he reads it off with such confidence. And he comes back and he's like telling her, he's like, do you want the case law? I can read you the case law. He was so sassy for no reason.
He was like, yeah. Like, oh, I got the case law. Okay, we're reading it right now. Hey, officer, that's not the case law. I could look it up Google too. What the hell? Where'd you get your information from? Oh, your buddies in police academy, please. Yeah, made a mumble jumbo fish shrimp and stuff. I mean, you heard me read the stuff. I mean, that's what I mean. Looked at the internet, and like I said, anybody can look at that stuff on the internet, case law and status, all that stuff.
It was so crazy. We're like,
that's a beautiful thing about the internet nowadays.
I mean, your girlfriend, you know, doesn't look like any hardened criminal. I don't know what they thought. We'll talk.
The call for backup and all that. It's like, you really think that I'm a threat? Like,
yeah, right. I mean, you guys are just two people out getting McDonald's. Like, I don't get it. You had dark windows here.
And I find it so funny how cops got to call for backup for people that are recording or exercising their rights. I mean, oh, we need backup. This guy's recording us. Oh, he's out here to take a picture. Oh, he's a high security threat. Someone with a freaking camera exit, right? Oh, such a high danger threat. Yeah, and they want to call for backup like this person is a worse criminal than a murderer, a rapist. Like, wow.
Big deal, and you just didn't want to give up your Fourth Amendment right. You know, I don't blame you. You know, it was scary also from, you know, 6 other officers arrived on the street. I believe it was a total of 6 in total, even the supervisor. The supervisor they were all so ignorant, had no idea what they were talking about, yet they were talking to you with such confidence, like they knew what they were talking about. You know, in Florida, everybody in the vehicle has the supervisors telling you this. You know, you're watching him just over and over again. Why you got to make it difficult? Just give us your ID. You know, you're going to go to jail. There's 1 or 2 options. And then one of the officers, the female deputy, comes over to you, Aiden, and she's like, I don't give you permission. This is the thing that blew my mind. I don't give you permission to record me.
As she's standing in public property, recording me. She's recording me on public property, telling me I can't record her.
As everything is being recorded, she says, I didn't give you permission to record me, and then goes on to say that if you do record her, she will seize your phone as evidence. Do you understand? You know, that is a threat of taking your property. You do social media, you need your phone, and therefore you didn't get any footage of the incident because you weren't thinking to record at first, and then after that you're like, you know, oh, I don't want my phone, my livelihood being seized as evidence for me for exercising my right.
Yeah, I knew I had to call people. And like you said, social media is my job. Like I knew I needed my phone for the rest of the night. So I was like, all right, they're probably going to take her to jail. I'm going to need to call a lawyer. I'm going to need to bail her out. I'm going to need my phone. So I didn't record. I actually didn't record until they had already arrested her. And the supervisor had then corrected the lady later on. And he finally said, like, yeah, you can record her. I'm recording you. Actually, he never even said it. Yeah. He swerved around it every single way he could. He did not want to correct her.
I'm recording you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm recording you.
Yeah, everybody's recording everybody. No.
Oh, yeah. And let me bring something. I just saw this, too. Here's another good point right there. All right. So, like I say, is it legal to film the police during a traffic stop? Where do I like that? Okay. Yes. And it says you absolutely can record the police, but it's something you want to be careful of. What I mean is, let's say you're walking down, you're not involved in a traffic stop. You're just walking down the street and see a traffic inside, just start recording. You can record the interaction, but you cannot interfere with the traffic stop. Standing off to the side, recording, it's fine. Walking up to the officers, doing it close in the middle of like that, this would be considered interfering. Okay, here's a good one right there. If you are the one being stopped, you too want to be careful. If a camera is in the car and running, that's fine. Have at it. What you don't want to do is go reach in your pockets to pull out your phone so you can record the interaction. Pulling objects out of your pocket can lead to bad things, especially if it's dark out. While not necessarily illegal to do, it can lead to something bad. Have the camera in the car, record the interaction, or start recording with your phone and place it somewhere such as on the dash to record the interaction. One thing I've done more so as a detective and didn't always have a body-worn camera, but wanted to record an interaction, I take my phone out and start recording. Then put my phone in my shirt pocket with the camera facing out. This will record the interaction. There's nothing that says you couldn't do something similar. Just be mindful of your movements and if they perceive that as a threat. And he had his phone out. That's what he was doing. And that wasn't a threat. The fact that she told him that, oh, you can't record or you can't record the traffic stop with me is a crock of crap.
Big deal. And that's another thing that they do, right? Instead of just addressing the problem, hey, listen, you can't record. He can record you all he wants. That's his First Amendment right. This is simple. I've done trainings on this across the country with different police departments. You know, obviously that's my whole job, is to bring awareness to people being able to record their interactions with government officials. And to see in 2025 somebody so ignorant to say, I honestly don't even believe it. I think she was just trying to hope that you didn't know your rights. So that way you'd be like, oh, really? I can't record you without your permission? Or are you going to seize my phone? It's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think they ever thought it was going to get this far. I think they really did think it was just going to be
like intimidation.
They were going to intimidate like 2 20-year-old people. Like they probably just had whatever assumptions about us beforehand. They thought they were going to intimidate us, mess with us, whatever, give us a few tickets. And that was going to be that. I don't think they expected everything to get blown up to the proportion it's been blown up now.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of people over here, a lot of the supporters who've seen the video were calling the state's attorney's office. I left all the public contact information, calling the law enforcement agency, the Martin County Sheriff over there. So I'm sure they weren't too happy. I love that. It's a little...
Let me read something too. Here's another one I just saw right here. The officer has no legal expectation of privacy. Boom. During a traffic stop, and you do not need their permission to record the film the counter. Oh my goodness. Oh my. I want to highlight this. This is good. This is gold. This is gold. And this is where that lady cop was dead wrong. Dead wrong. The officer has no legal expectation of privacy during a traffic stop and you do not need their permission to film the encounter. You also don't need to tell them you are recording as you are in your own car. You are in a public place, and the Supreme Court has determined that you can record an officer during the exterior of their duty, execution of the duties. My bad. Bingo. Right there. That's the money shot. Back to this.
A bit of satisfaction to know that your ignorance and your stupidity, literal ignorance and stupidity, were for the world to see. I got law enforcement agencies contact me because of your video saying that they want to use it in training for First Amendment training.
Of what not to do?
Of what not to do. Of what not to do.
I've had interaction with cops in my area, and they tell me point blank, say, hey, you can record us all you want on official duties. And I say, as long as you're in a public setting like a sidewalk or a street or parking lot, let's say, hey, you can film us all you want, as long as you don't interfere with us or our obstruction of our official duties. But I said, other than that, have at it. You can record us all you want. And for her to say, you can't record us, you can't record us, that's a crock of lies.
That's horrendous. And these are law enforcement officers from across the country. So, you know, one thing that I didn't really touch on in the video, but I think it's really interesting and that we should talk about is one of the officers said, you know, they're from Colombia. That's kind of weird.
Colombia.
I don't really know what she meant by, I don't know if people from Colombia are weird or not. I don't know what that even means. I don't know what that means. I mean, I have no idea, but you're not even in Colombia.
Oh yeah, my sister, like, she handed a passport card and then they're like, passenger in the back is from Colombia. It's like, okay, she handed you a passport card saying that she was born in Denver.
A U.S. passport card.
Yeah, and you're gonna turn around and say that she's from Colombia, and
then
I don't know. Then the other officer made up the same thing about me. I guess she's from Colombia, which is pretty weird. And the other guy's like all confused, like, she's from Colombia, and the lady's like, yeah, she's from Colombia. It's weird.
And before that officer was like the supervisor. He was talking with that lady about whether all of this was right or not. And that lady was actually telling him, like, you have to have reasonable suspicion and all of that. She came there and was telling him that. You can hear that in just a little bit. My car's too loud, so you couldn't hear it all the way. But yeah,
next time turn off that car because it was loud.
He went back to his car and he was looking up that information. That's what I think is the funniest thing about all of this is that he says, take her to jail for resisting, I guess. Like, I guess. He doesn't even know. He's like, I guess. Like, I don't know what to take her to jail for. And then he looks up the law after she's already in the police car, headed to jail. And he's then looking it up.
Yeah, take her for that. That was one of my favorite lines. Take her for resisting, I guess. And then you get booked. You go down to the jail or the precinct or whatever. And what happens then? They process you, take a mugshot. What happens?
Yeah,
this is your first time being, everybody watching, this is her first time. This poor woman. This is her first time being arrested for doing nothing. All she did was stand up for her rights, and she gets taken to jail. That's why I wanted to cover it.
And that's, I just think, you know how awful and crappy that is? I mean, you know how spiteful that is for a cop to arrest somebody for doing nothing wrong? And especially if it's a first-time offense, for doing nothing. I mean, I always say, when people get arrested for the first time, it's traumatic. I mean, it was traumatic the first time I got arrested, but I was with a buddy of mine. Yeah, we did commit a crime. We were reckless damage of firearm, but she didn't commit no crime. She did nothing except exercise the right. I mean, crazy.
Same.
So as soon as I got there, they asked for my social security. They asked for my name. They asked if I was a citizen, blah, 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 like all the, I guess, general information you can say. And I got all my clothes taken off. I got naked, obviously, which is very fucking humiliating. I hated it.
Yeah.
And then they put me in a cell, and they didn't tell me how to operate the phone system. So I was there knocking on the door for like an hour straight, like, hey, guys, tell me how to operate the phone. Like, I want to call someone. Come on. And yeah, they just ignored me. They treated me like shit. One of the officers was like, if you hadn't been a pendeja, then maybe you wouldn't be like going through all this, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't be freezing in a cell. And that cell was freezing. I did not sleep the whole night.
It was just a concrete slab, no blood.
How long were you there?
10 hours?
10 hours, yeah.
10 hours
10
of your
hours,
life.
wow.
Listen, unfortunately, I've been arrested a total of, I believe, 11 times doing what I do. You know, it's I guess it's just part of the job to deal with these tyrants like you had to deal with. That's just part of my job. And I'll tell everybody watching who hasn't been arrested, Any amount of time in custody where you lose your freedom is way too long, especially, 10 hours. I don't think I've ever stayed 10 hours while I've audited. They've just put me in there, let me out 3 hours later or whatever, but 2 hours later, 10 hours, you got out the next morning.
Yeah, what makes it suck even worse is that not only was it like, it was 10 hours, which is a long time, but we had just picked her sister up. She hasn't seen her sister in 2 months. Like, she moved here with me recently to Florida. Her whole family lives in Colorado. So we're already on limited time. All we had was a weekend. And our whole first day was just her sitting in jail.
Yeah.
So it definitely sucked.
Obviously, your sister worried, sick about you. Worried, sick, terrified. Your family worried about you. Their daughter, going to jail for the first time ever for nothing. It's got to be super scary. And then they mentioned at the end when you're being released, you had a video. It wasn't on body camera, but you had a video where they were mentioning your immigration status or something like that.
Yeah, my boyfriend asked about me by name. And so the important thing is, the first thing I did when I got to jail is they knew that I was a U.S. citizen. They asked me my legal status. They had all my social security, blah, blah, blah. So he asked them for me, like, by name, asking for my bond and everything. And they just say, well, if she's not from here, she's going to get processed through ICE or something like that.
He was basically going along the lines of if she's not a U.S. citizen, then the process is going to take longer. She's going to have to go through ICE, all of this. But they already had all those documents.
Even
she was a U.S. citizen.
Even knowing, he felt the need to mention all of that, even knowing you are a U.S. citizen. Interesting. Yeah. All right, guys. So the last thing I wanted to ask you guys is, you're going to plan on filing a lawsuit. Great. Giselle, Aiden, what do you guys want? What did you take from this whole interaction? I don't know your feelings on law enforcement before this happened. I don't, has it changed your feeling on law enforcement? Giselle, how has this affected you going forward in your life? Because it's obviously a traumatic experience.
Yeah, I mean, I just do not have any trust in Martin County, I guess, their sheriff department. Before that, I lived in Colorado, so I mean, I never had problems with the cops there. If anything, like, I feel like I always, like, maybe got off when I got, like, tickets or stuff like that. But with this, it's like, I don't know, they have a pattern of faking stuff already. And with them, like, falsely arresting me, it makes me, like, kind of scared being in this county. It's like, you guys really aren't, like, here to protect and serve,
Yeah, they're just here to write more tickets, get as much money as possible. Like, they're not here to do their job correctly at all. And you can see that so blatantly.
It's about revenue,
not just our case, and all the people that reached out to us as well. There's like over 20 cases of this happening. They've been sued multiple times.
There it is.
For things like this happening. Planting drugs, all of this stuff. They've been sued for that. Police officers are sitting in prison right now out of Martin County Sheriff, like that department. Woo. This stuff has happened, and it happened not that long ago. I think it was like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. And then, so all the criminal charges, the resisting that you were charged with, the resisting without violence you were charged with, was dismissed. You didn't have to go to court or anything like that. You went to court one time, I think, right?
We didn't go to court at all. Our lawyer handled that, and she filed all the paperwork and everything. And
she just got the date pushed back.
Yeah, she got the date pushed back, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was all the public pressure that got the charges.
It's funny when you bring something shady that's done in the dark, some tyranny to the light. They're like, let me. If you weren't, because you guys have your own huge following, but if you weren't, social media people. If nobody else picked up this story, you don't see the local news reporting on an innocent woman being kidnapped and taken to a jail cell for 10 hours. You would have been a part of the system. You have to come up with $3,000 for an attorney, thousands of dollars for an attorney. People don't have that in their bank account to go fight an unlawful arrest. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they did keep the seatbelt charge, right? They
I did, however, call the courthouse, and they said it was like pending being dropped or something along those lines. Okay. So hopefully that's dropped. It is still on her record though, and it shows as an unpaid ticket. It shows as like an unpaid ticket. So we'll probably have to call. Like I said, we just got back from London. Everything. This stuff is kind of all just now getting sorted.
Right. And just to make it clear for everybody watching, the seatbelt charge, they knew at the time, very evident. They knew. I highly suggest you watch the full body camera footage. But they knew at the time they had no evidence whatsoever she wasn't wearing her seatbelt while it was in motion. They said, well, they asked each other. They said, hey, did you see her without a seatbelt? No, I didn't see her. The windows are too dark. Whatever.
Those were also the officers that showed up 10 minutes later. Yeah. The ones that said she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, we were sitting in a parked car for 10 minutes. She actually, you can see that when the officer comes back, she's wearing a hoodie now. She didn't just magically put a hoodie on. You
Over
know what I
the
mean?
seatbelt.
Over the seatbelt. So like
Right.
we were sitting parked at a gas station, and she was actually going to go in and get snacks when we like seen all the lights behind us. We didn't even think it was for us at first. We were just pulling in. We're like, oh, whatever. Like someone's getting pulled over here. There's a cop here. There's cops always at that gas station. And then we kind of realized it was behind us. And she's like, should I go in and get snacks still? I was like, well, just let him come up first. I was like, he's probably just going to give us some random ticket. I was like, I don't even know what I was doing. I was driving under the speed limit, used blinker, everything. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to pull me over for. Because at the time, he pulled up behind us. You can't tell that the car has dark tint at 1 a.m. So
Right.
he came up with that right after he said I was revving. So
Right.
there's that.
All right, guys, we're going to be following. I want to follow your federal lawsuit. The best part about federal lawsuits is that you get to depose these ignorant people that were trying to, so disrespectful. Where'd you get your law degree to both of you? You know,
Yeah,
he
that
thinks
was-
it
that
just treated you like such shit. And I just want to say that the way, Giselle, you both handled it well, but Giselle, the way that you handled it, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 22.
22 years old, and you handled that so much better than anyone else that I've ever seen. You didn't bite at their attacks to you. You didn't go kicking and screaming into the car.
She didn't curse at him or nothing like that.
It was textbook. You handled it perfectly. It was great, and it's going to look really good for you. That's why they dropped the charges against you, not just because of public pressure, but because when they watch that body camera footage, they're like, well, what are we going to do with it? We're going to show a jury this video.
From one side, it's like, it was so unnecessary. I wasn't
Yeah.
even like talking shit to you guys or saying anything, and for them to just like take on this approach where you're like attacking me for knowing my rights is insane.
They just didn't want you to know.
Like I was saying, the best part is depositions. You'll be able to get these guys right in front of a camera, and you'll be able to ask them questions about what they knew at the time, what they didn't know. So I can't wait for that. I will stay in contact with you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
us.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to finish up here. I just wanted to give you guys that update about Aiden and Giselle. I will leave a link in the description to the full body camera footage of the incident. This lawsuit is going to be epic for them. At the end of the day, we need accountability in law enforcement. I am so tired of covering these incidents, and this continues to happen over and over and over again, where law enforcement officers violate people's rights. They're so ignorant of the law, of our constitutional rights, of everything, really. It's absolutely
and plus, they sit their
ridiculous.
makeup to statute and laws.
Accountability in law enforcement. Big shout out to Giselle and Aiden. They handled it like pros.
Yeah.
That is how you should handle rogue, ignorant tyrants. You should always just remain silent, be quiet, handle the situation, do what you need to do. Make sure you download Attorney Shield and have an attorney with you. I'm going to be definitely getting Giselle and Aiden a subscription to Attorney Shield. I hope that, I would think that would help that situation. I don't know these lawyers. These officers were extremely ignorant of the law. They were looking it up online. They were colluding with each other, and they still got it wrong, ladies and gentlemen, and there will be no accountability for them, and that's the sad part. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island Audit. Peace.
Peace. One final thought I love to say is, those cops are bootlegger. I would love to see the channel audit that, or Lackluster cover that. I know Here's the Deal has. I would love to maybe David, Sam Queen Transparency would love to. I'd love to see it cover that as well, especially audit. If I was audit, I would give those cops, the Martian Police Department, those officers, I would give them an F. For misrepresenting Florida statute and the stop at ID nature of Florida as well, and making up lies and fabricating a charge, saying and telling Aiden that he can't record, which he legally can, and she was not, and Giselle was not obligated to ID herself because they had no reasonable suspicion of a crime at all. I'll give Aiden and Giselle an A+ for standing the ground, especially for Giselle, exercising her 4th and 5th Amendment right to remain silent. And I will also give an A+ for following up this procedure and encounter with the legal proper paperwork and FOIA request and lawsuit. And with that said, I am out of here. My job. Peace out.